Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer. Our guest today is Dr. Emily. We're going to talk about performance and becoming the best entrepreneur that you can be. Welcome to the show, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's just such an honor and it's a pleasure to be on here. And I believe we'll be sharing some insights and some stories and hopefully bringing a little bit of nuggets and a little bit of clarity for all of our friends, business friends.
Definitely nuggets. I know there's going to be nuggets. Um, I get so excited when we get to dive deep into mindset. That's obviously my passion, specifically for entrepreneurs. You're, an amazing entrepreneur yourself. I'm a little jealous because you actually are one of Dan Kennedy's private clients. Um, let's get into this whole topic of performance. We have our sort of cliches around peak performance. Some people default to thinking of the elite athlete. Other people may think, ooh, that sounds rigid and it sounds hard. What what are we talking about here? What is the type of work that you're doing with your clients and how is it helping them in their business?
Yes, and that's a great question. And I'm my background is as a dentist, as a clinician, and I've over the years, more than 30 years, I built different dental offices and run multi-specialty group practices. And in 2015, I got certified as a high performance coach. And let me just talk about performance in that sense, because when people talk about peak performance, you get to the peak. Are you gonna stay up there? Or is it when you show up and you got a difficult client or you got a difficult project and you give it all in and then after that you're just going to be cruising, right? My ex-husband, he was an engineer, and when they have that deadline, that guy is all over it, right? He won't come home and he's working on it all the time. But at other times, it's just cruising. So when we're talking about high performance here in what I study and I practice and I have my clients with, is how to get up there and how to sustain it. And the key word is sustain. And I think part of that is the mindset, like what you say, right? Because our mindset will dictate our action. So if you say, "Hey, I just got through this. I'm gonna cruise for a while," then your action's gonna show that. It's like the Olympics, right? People are showing up for that peak performance because they're trying to beat a world record or anything like that. On a daily life, are they also pushing themselves to get to that top? And sometimes, honestly, sometimes we just can't stay 100%, right? Maybe 100 and then we may fall down to 90 or maybe 80. But what I don't want my clients and our friends to be is, today I'm going to be 100, tomorrow I think I'll do 70, and then the next day maybe down to 50, and then the next day let me go back to 70. And because there's a lack of intention, the intention is I'm going to show up and I'm going to be at least 85%, or whatever goal you set for yourself. And it's not just action, it's how you think, right? Because in high performance, we talk about clarity, we talk about courage, we talk about productivity, we talk about psychology. How do you make you as a person to have all of those habits? So that's how you show up every day. And I think consistency helps with with entrepreneurs. And the more consistent we could be, I think the better we will perform.
Absolutely. I'm sure that there are some people listening who, when you were talking about the dips in
Mhm.
productivity, are thinking, "Oh man, that's totally me." Uh, and the fact is, it's not healthy to be going 100%
Right,
all the
right,
time, and
exactly.
so we I think we have to sometimes dispel some of those silly things that our mind does to us. And I see this a lot in the work that I do with my clients when it comes to limiting beliefs, the mind tends to be a little bit nonsensical,
Mhm.
putting it nicely. I mean, sometimes I literally will say that's just batshit crazy because some of the stuff that we do to ourselves really is just absurd. It's that very black and white. Um, you know, I am not going to commit to being a, high performance entrepreneur because that's unhealthy and I won't spend time with my family and I won't attend my kids' soccer games and like all of these silly things. And so I want to take a moment and I want to just dispel that stuff right off the bat so that people can actually give themselves the opportunity to say, wait a second, I can step up my game and it can actually be amazing for me, amazing for my life, amazing for my business, obviously, without all of those ridiculous, uh, not even true negative side effects.
Okay, well, I don't want to say brag, but let me just kind of tell you about me a little bit. So like I said, I've been a dentist for 30 years. So I had anywhere from 1 to 3 multi specialty offices in 3 different areas at the same time. I would go to all 3 of them. I have 3 kids, and when they were younger, I'm the one taking them to school. I'm the one picking them up. I'm the one taking them to Taekwondo. Sometimes, a lot of time late, but we make it there, right? I'm the one that do everything, right? My husband was an engineer. He leaves in the morning, he comes back in the evening. I make the choice of picking up the kids and then taking them to a babysitter, or when they were older, sometimes they would go to work with me. So I had a lot of shit going on too, right? And now they just about the youngest just graduated from college a couple weeks ago. But if you go and you look back in the past, since 2015, you will see me travel, going to India, going to all these different countries and attending all these conferences to the point where people ask me, are you still a dentist? And I say, yes, I'm still a dentist. I show up to the office from Monday to Wednesday, right? So the reason, and I'm saying all that, is because if once you say, okay, these are the things that I want to do, I'm going to maximize my potential by only doing what I do best, right? So in the journey, I became a Kobe consultant, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Kobe. I think it's the simplest test because I'm a very simple person, and it just say that whether you're a fact finder, you're a follow through, you're a quick start, or you're an implementer. And implementing here is you're a very you like to work with your hands. So I found out that I'm a quick start. What does that mean? I jump start on things. I make quick decision. I take risks, right? So if you are going to give me an Excel sheet with all the numbers, and you tell me, Emily, go sit here and study this and write a report, that is going to stress me out to the max, right? Because I just want to look at it and say, what's the net? Let me just look at the last number. So what that means is, because I know myself, and I recommend every one of us to kind of learn as much about ourselves as possible. I know that is already going to stress me out. So don't give me that. Or if you're going to give me that, I'm going to give it to somebody else. And then ask somebody else to give me, okay, this is what this say, right? So I think a lot of time, like you said, people don't want to be 100% of the time. I think you could be, 90% or whatever, all the time on what you do best. Like if you're a speaker, why don't you just focus on the speaking part, and then you hire somebody else to do social media marketing for you, right? If you're a CEO, I know you should be making important decisions. Maybe you need to take some phone calls, but maybe it's the phone call, like the last one to make the deal, to seal the deal. You shouldn't be the one, oh, let me go and research this prospect, this company that we want to collaborate with. We're talking about the entrepreneur, business owner who want to do his own website, right? Or who want to write his own copy. I mean, it's great to learn how to write copy, but there are people who write copy, right? So if you give them the content and what you believe that would be best, for this website, let somebody run with it. And and that's why we were joking a little bit before about me becoming a private client of Dan Kennedy. I had him write up my shock and awe, and I read the thing and I go, wow, I want to hire me. because, because he writes it well and it's kind of in my voice, but of course it's a third party validation because you're writing it in third party, right? Like Dr. Letran does this and Dr. Letran does that. But I can't write that, even though I know me the best, but I can't write it. Why don't I just have him write it or whoever you choose to? So I think a lot of time when people say I can't do 100%, it's because they pick on like so many things that they want to be 100% at. If they just pick two and say, I want to be these two, 100%, the rest of them, I don't know, the house could be dirty. Maybe today we're not cooking dinner. I'm just gonna do takeout, right? And or that's back in the day. Now we do what Uber Eats, right? like, and not feel like, hey, people are judging me because I'm not cooking. People are judging me because my house is not as clean as it could be. Um, all of these things that we put ourselves on, especially women, we put ourselves on and we think we have to fulfill everything. And then we say, I can't be 100%. I can't be a good mom uh, unless I'm home and I do certain things for the kids. I tell people I claim to be the best mom in the world, right? Why? Because according to them, I claim it first. so, so I'm going to own it. Am I the best mom in the world? I think I'm the best mom to my kids because I could do all of these things, and there's some other things that my kids go through that we don't have to talk about, but there's so everybody have so many layers, right? All the things that you may not share with the world. But what I ask people to do is to learn about yourself, meaning understand where are your, like you say, limiting beliefs. What are you afraid of? What you don't like? And the more things that you can focus on that you like, I think you're just gonna do better. I think you're gonna have less stress. And I think you're just gonna have a better life and be more successful.
I love the way you answered that question.
Thank you.
So I want to just sort of reiterate a couple of those points because what you basically just did was break down some of those really silly myths that we have in our mind. You do not have to be Superman or Superwoman in order to be a high performance, successful entrepreneur. You do not. And we
Correct.
oftentimes will hear people talking about delegation and mastering the art of delegation. I was at a Tony Robbins event and he does not like the word delegation. He prefers leverage. You
Mhm.
leverage other people, which is it makes sense. Um, but in any case, the real essence of this is you're not going to be good at everything. It's not a good use of your time. And like you so beautifully articulated, the things that we're not good at will create stress, and we're not going to be at our optimum performance if we're trying to force ourselves through a lot of those types of activities, those types of tasks. When you're working with a client, when someone comes into your world, where do you start with them? What does that look like?
A lot of time in my uh, discovery call, I call it a work less, make more call. Uh, I always invite them to come on to talk about one challenge. I know everybody have a lot of challenges. Come on with one, and let's talk about that. And let me see if I can help you solve it. Right? And and of course you know this very well. They come on with one challenge, and as you talk to them, it's like there are 20 other things that we need to fix before we can get to that challenge. But of course, I'm going to give you this is the first thing you do is go do this, right? Um, and like I was talking to a doctor the other day, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm changing job, and I think I want to buy my an office." And there's this doctor who already was talking to me about buying buying his office, and my husband think I should do it. And my solution to that is make an offer. right? Like that's the action step is make an offer. And I say, I can help you go through what happens when you make an offer. So I think a lot of time what people do is they come and they want to give you so much information. And what I try to do is try to get from them what is the most important thing right now and what is the most important action step right now. So when they get off that call, let's say it's 30 minutes, they got something from it, right? They may have to go back and think, do I actually want to work with this crazy person? Which is okay. It will take some time, but they get something from the call. I remember I was talking to a doctor one time. This is before she became my client, and she was describing that she's going through buying the building. And I just threw it out there and say, why don't you go back and say this? So she wrote me a testimonial and she said, I talked to Emily and it saved me $30,000. Right. And I didn't say that because I didn't know it was going to save her $30,000, but I knew that was a strategy of negotiation to buy the building because I bought a couple of mine, right? So I think for a lot of us, if we can put ourselves in our client's shoe, right? So what's burning right now? Like, why did they even come on the call with us? Because they got something that they need to ask, solve that, and then try to figure out what's important to them. I think a lot of like in the world I'm in, let's just say the world of dentistry, I do coach across industries, but of course I'm most familiar with the dentist because I'm one of them. There's a lot of cookie cutters, right? Everybody, here's a manual for uh, for your staff. And ever since I read the book, Dan's book, Ruthless Management, remember?
Mhm.
I'm just like, I don't think I need a manual. I actually need to set my expectation and let people know these are the things that are important. And then, yes, your job could be three duties. Your other job description for somebody else could be 10 things that I need to do. I'm just gonna watch you or look at you from that standpoint of ruthless management, meaning I'm looking at metrics, I'm looking at performance. You can give me 20 excuses why you come to work late. I'm just gonna look at the end of the day, did you actually do what you're supposed to do, right? Because I'm one of those people, yes, you could come in late sometime, then you're gonna then you stay late. Sometimes we're gonna work through lunch. Sometimes we're just gonna take 2 hours for lunch. I'm that flexible, but then that's my Kobe, which is the quick start. So I'm comfortable doing that. And I know people who say, you're 5 minutes late, or or and they very structured, and it's okay too, as long as both of us are happy. Like if I'm happy going along, start at a certain time and a certain time, I can go home, still have time with the family, I can go to sleep at night. I'm okay with it.
So I want to just briefly, because I know we're almost at the end of time here. I want to talk a little bit about your journey because it takes a pretty powerful mindset to get to where you are from where you came from. So, can you share just a really brief, and I want to discount your story because it's amazing, but can you share with our listeners a little bit about your journey to getting to where you are today?
Yes, I must say that I'm super blessed and I have a lot of gratitude for being where I am today. Um, I was actually born in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and I came to this country as a refugee. I was one of those boat people in the between 1980s and 1990s or so. There's a lot of Vietnamese refugee who left the country and end up in different countries, and so I ended up here. And when I came, it's always, we got to learn new things. We don't know the language. We don't know anything. And I think that just kind of become my way of life, which is just keep on learning. Oh, this is something I don't know. This is something new. How come, like I remember in high school, how come I'm standing in the line to get free lunch and my friends are driving away in a car to eat? I think back then it was In-N-Out Burger, right? We're in Southern California. But I'm in the line for free lunch. How do I change that, right? And So I've always been, I like to learn reading books. And back in the old days, it's books and newsletter, uh, CDs, right? Listening to those. And that's how I learn. And the more I learn, the more I see that, oh, people are doing things different way, right? You can get to from A to B three different ways. And I think having an open mindset help a lot. And life has just have that magical way where when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I got all these people appearing in my life when I'm ready to take that next step. And sometimes it's risky. Like when I signed up with Brendan Bouchard to be a high performance coach the same year, I signed up with Sharon Lecter, the co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, as my mentor. And I signed up with Matt Browning. He's an NLP coach. So I signed up with the three different three different people. And and that's where I started my journey. And I think not everybody could do that, right? Not everybody could have that time commitment and all that. But I've been able to do that and I've been able to progress. And I never really take success as as a given. I think everybody who is successful puts in a lot of work. You may not know the mileage that they put in because they may not be out there bragging every day, right? But if you see somebody working at a certain level, being associated with certain brands, they put in the miles, right? And if they didn't, if they just get lucky and got introduced and be where they are, usually they don't last. And I think that's kind of my journey to always being a student, always be grateful. I think that's something that you must have to be successful because we, you and I mean, we didn't really figure things out. We learned it from experts. There's something that we figure out ourselves, but the majority of the time we got that from the experts so we can fast track our success. And if we have that drive to serve, I think we can be successful.
Emily, this has been an amazing conversation. How can
Thank
our
you.
listeners connect with you?
I would challenge people to go to Best You, Best Business and take a high performance quiz, right? It's 10 questions. It asks you about different aspects of your life and business as it has to do with high performance. Just take the quiz and see what it say. And I say, if you don't feel that you're at that high level that you know that you should be, and maybe your business is not quite where you want it to be, reach out to me. I think you get an email and say, hey, maybe it doesn't look that high. Let's talk or something. And but it's really what it is it's really just I like I said, I invite you to know more about you because there are a lot of people who say I'm successful and this is the gross collection and the net profit, whatever it is. And you ask them a question about their kids or their family or their personal health, and they don't have much to say. And I think um, as a successful person, you should be happy both in business and in life. Not all the time, but most of the time.
So true and so good. Thank you again, Emily. This has been a very rich conversation, packed a lot of value into a very short period of time.
Thank you so much, Alicia, for creating this platform and inviting me on. And I hope all of our listeners got that little challenge to rise up to their maximum potential.
I'm sure they did. And of
Thank
course,
you.
got to thank all of our listeners. You know, we're doing this for you. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.